Hi, my name is Selena Hall, and I am in Advanced Database Systems at the University of West Florida. This is a discussion on my term paper. The topic is Can Watson replace Google as the dominant search engine in the world within the next few years? I personally do not believe so. Before I discuss why, it is important to understand what both of these technologies are and comprise of functionally and physically. Watson is a cognitive computer system that is capable of reading and understanding natural language, analyzing unstructured data, evaluating responses from disparate data, generating evidence-based hypothesis, and dynamic learning. Google is a commonly used search engine that takes the searched text and returns query results in the form of links to web pages, and the order of the results is decided by using a proprietary method called PageRank. Watson is a supercomputer storing data to its 90 servers, while Google stores data from multiple sources in large data centers located worldwide. Both systems have the ability to learn. Both technologies seem to lean towards different sectors of the population and for different purposes. Watson is still in its developmental kind of beta phase and may not be ready to be comparable with Google in a few years' time. Watson is an excellent supercomputer that can answer many sorts of questions. It was designed to answer questions by understanding natural language and returning evidence-supported answers. This intelligence may not be fit for all aspects in business and the real world. Google was designed to help users find resources to find answers. With Google's Hummingbird and semantic searches, answers can also be derived using conversation. Watson was built to beat people and give precise answers. This broad knowledge is acquired from texts and case studies, and this can cripple physicians, which is not an ideal situation. Watson cannot recognize human responses and interact with humans, hence it can only be used as a search engine to tap into its own database and any fed resources. Watson can only be used as a reference and not replace medical physicians. Watson uses over 2,000 processors consuming high electrical energy to solve one question, while Google responds to millions of searches in the same time Watson does for one. Google uses a minute fraction of resources that Watson uses to handle each query. Google ranks publicly available data for many years. Today, corporations want to aggregate and analyze internal and external corporate data to formulate answers to problems and propose decisions for future planning. So, who will be the business data source? Watson may probably be, we can consider more like the Google for business data for enterprise solutions and industry-specific answers. Watson will allow companies to integrate their corporate and external data for more meaningful use and to make better business decisions when needed. It has been reported there have been some difficulties and costs associated with training Watson to master certain aspects of different businesses. Both technologies, though, they are working hard towards delivering faster and more natural data-driven answers at our fingertips. For instance, IBM Watson Engagement Advisor is a cloud-delivered service that will provide fast data-driven answers from the palm of your hand. Google is developing a quantum computer and is working on a branch of artificial intelligence called deep learning. As far as cost, that's something we should also look at. Watson's IBM Chief Executive Officer Virginia Rometty anticipated a $10 billion revenue by 2018. Over the last 3 years, they've only earned over 100 million in revenue. This Watson computer system is a full clustered system of 90 Power 750 servers, so 90 servers, and it costs about $3 million. A single server retails about $34,000. So can an average user afford one? Perhaps not. But a hospital may be able to afford one that is about 1/10 of the processor server. So for instance, if it's 1/10, that means 1/10 of the cluster, then it'll cost the hospital about $300,000, which makes it as much cheaper and actually cheaper than some of the equipment hospitals actually purchase and use. It would mean that they would have to wait 30 seconds for an answer versus 3 seconds. The original Watson was single-threaded on a single processor. It took 2 hours to scan memory and produce an answer to a question. So a physician's office can perhaps settle for the smaller and more affordable system, and of course they'd have to wait 2 hours for an answer. Most households will not have deep enough pockets to purchase Watson for everyday information services. Besides, it doesn't seem like Watson is really designed for personal home use unless you have a lot of data and you want to analyze it and a large enough home to house it. Google, on the other hand, is free as long as you have access to internet and a device. The data doesn't need to be stored on your home PC, and you do not need to purchase a data center and house it. The majority of Google's current revenue comes from advertisers who sponsor the searches. The statement, Watson can replace Google as the dominant search engine in the world within the next few years, is most likely a statement that I do not feel I can agree with at this time. Upon studying the two, I find there's much differences in their individual use, purpose, availability, and costs for users. There are still many unknown variables as to how Watson will reach the users and how Watson will be paid for. Watson is still not yet universally accessible, and many of its applications are in its beta version. Google allows developers to use and customize their Android mobile operating system for free, while Watson prefers to select which developers gets access. So if Watson is to become a consumer app, then it might be an expensive one, or it may just be a business app. Watson solves a different type of problem than the traditional web search engine does. Hence, comparing and weighing the two is not applicable or fair. I feel that ultimately both of these technologies will play a tremendous role in supporting information search, gathering, and analysis. I also feel that as a search engine, Google will continue to hold its throne in the market, while Watson will be the Google for corporate data and analytics.